Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to a new edition of the Urban Sentinel Live Show. Uh, Urban Sentinel Live Show is a part of the Urban Sentinel magazine where I'm the publisher, Reggie Kearney. So I want to say a very big hello to everyone this evening that's joining us, and I appreciate you joining us. Tell your friends they can go to YouTube or either they can go to podtv.tv to check us out as podtv.tv to check us out because we got a great show tonight, tonight I got with me Freddie T. Lane all the way from Florida, Tampa, Florida area. And she's an entrepreneur and author. She has a new book out. So I thought I'd take time out to sit down with her and talk a while about what she's doing, how she's doing it, and what she's going to do in the future. This is her first time dipping her feet into the hot water writing a book. And hey, look, we're going to support her and we're going to learn more about her. So without further ado, welcome Freddie T. Lane to the Urban Sentinel Live Show. What's up? How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain, other than having technical problems sometimes with these computers. But that's technology. That is technology. So what's going on down in Florida, Freddie?
The heat, the heat is on now. It's
okay.
hot down here. But as someone told me, I knew where I was moving to when I moved here. So,
hey, look, we're getting to get our furnace turned up tomorrow. They're talking about we might reach 90 degrees tomorrow. So hey, we're gonna see.
Oh, okay now, because y'all was just at like 40 last week, right?
Yeah. And this flip-flopping weather is hard to keep your colds down, and you got pollen. One day you got pollen, one day you don't. Next day you got air conditioning on. The next day after that you got a cold. So I'm fighting it all right now. So before we get started, tell the audience something about you.
Okay, so my name is Freddie T. Lane. This is actually my third book, Reggie. So I'm still a fairly new author. I've dipped into the author pool in 2022. I published my first book, then I published my second in 2023, where I was more comfortable. Now this book here, I feel this is my best piece of work because I'm more comfortable with the process and also more comfortable with being more free and more vulnerable. So, yeah.
Tell me something quickly about the first two books you wrote.
Okay, so the first book, I have them right here. The first book was Creating Your Lane, Unleashing Self-Confidence. So this was something that my husband pushed me to do. It was more of building self-confidence up, like within myself. It started as a journal, right? Visiting some of those things like from my past that may have held me back from doing certain things in life, not having the confidence to do certain things, or trying to put on a persona of someone that I really wasn't, scared to be my true self. So that's what this first book was generally about, and that's Creating Your Lane, Unleashing Self-Confidence. I just reissued the second edition of this book, which has more journal spacing in it, on April the 17th. So the second edition is now out. So once I got comfortable with that, I moved into my true passion is travel, right? So travel is what I love. I love traveling. I love sharing stories about traveling. I love encouraging people to get into the travel business. I actually encourage like entrepreneurship. So for people to start their businesses. So the second book was built around, it was Creating Your Lane. Launching your independent travel business.
Okay.
But what I was trying to do with that book was, so many people jump into like travel and they say, oh, I'm a business owner, I own a travel agency. Then we have those conversations to find out that they're more pulled into like a multi-level marketing thing where they're making pennies on the dollar. I speak about this quite often. And I try to encourage people to set up your own business, whether it's a C Corp, S Corp, LLC, or whatever. Set up your business and make those connections with the vendors yourself so that you cut out the middleman, right? So this first book, and this is like part one of this book, it's going through the steps of setting up LLCs, doing research and all. So the follow-up to this book is on the way, and it's basically talking about cutting out the middleman.
Look, very quickly, how is the book you just showed us doing, the one about setting up your own business, creating your lane? How's that doing?
I'm going to tell you the truth with all of these books. It's marketing. Mm-hmm. So even though I have all this stuff out, the word really isn't getting out because I have a marketing plan. I didn't even talk about doing a marketing plan, but it's finding the right person to work with you when it comes down to marketing. You know, so like even like your show, your magazines, you know about this. It's like for me, it's hard to find that right person to put you where you want to be. That's not going to just take your money, because I'm all about being frugal when it comes to putting into my business. And I know some may say that sounds foolish since I'm trying to make money, because as they say, you have to spend money to make money. But there are so many scams out here, and so many people that portray to be something that they're not. So it's like taking a lot of research and a lot of time for me to find that right person. But online, my ebook is doing better than the paperback version. But I think if it was marketed more and I really spoke about it more, because with these first two books, I'm going to be honest, with these first two books, and this is my third book in 3 years, this is almost the first official interview that I've done, because I tried to hide behind the camera, not really be in front of the camera or speak about. So I did some vending events, but my husband was like, "You need to get out there." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So that's where that confidence within me had built up. But I think if I would have promoted it more and was really out there pushing that it would have done better. So. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so keep going. Let's get to this new book.
Oh, the new book. Now, this one for me is most personal. It's Dear Freddie, Letters from Angels. Okay, so this book was based on therapy. So when COVID hit, it really hit our home like everyone else's home hard, right? So when we were locked down in 2020, my husband and I were newlyweds. We'd only been married a year.
Okay.
So he, myself, and then we're all locked in together. He, myself, and our 3 kids. So I have my natural daughter. He has his natural kids. So we're blending the family. We have COVID. All kids at home, newly married. That drove all of us to therapy because we were all going crazy. So with that, we started going through like family therapy session. I talk about that. I did individual therapy sessions. I found all types of therapy sessions because during COVID, I found myself just buying stuff like Amazon, because it was, it was easy. It was there. So I found therapy for everything that was going on during the lockdown: overeating, debtors, marriage, blending families, and all of that. But what I focused on, this is even after we moved here, was that individual therapy that helped me deal with so much of my past that was affecting me in the now. My therapists were like great. They helped me deal with other ways to deal with certain things through the therapy sessions. And that's what I'm pretty much releasing in this book, saying there was a method that Trina, my therapy, had me do. She had me write letters to everyone that had ever hurt me, that I felt had hurt me, that I had a piece of word I wanted to say something to, right? So she gave me this assignment, and I went back to her with what she told me to do. I had the letters ready. I was going to hand deliver them regardless where they had to go, because I wanted to give these people a piece of my mind. But then she told me to reread the letters in our therapy session. And then after I read the letters, I'd go home and burn them. It's like, burn them? What is that going to do, right? Because I need to tell this person what I've been feeling all these years. And she had explained to me, regardless what it is in you that you want them to feel, how you want them to feel about you and what you feel, they're not going to feel that.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I had to be at peace with and let go and be okay with myself, not worry about what they thought. So after I burned the letters, it was like a relief. It was something that it was like a release of pressure because I got all that stuff out. So I went by like fast. I just started thinking about stuff. So this was after I caught the writing bug, and I thought about my ancestors that had passed away, right? And I thought about certain things with like grief and therapy. So that led me to this book. So I created these fictional letters. They're from ancestors, friends, family, associates that have passed away. And they're writing letters to me, and they're more of letters of encouragement. But what I did within the letters was it took some things are fictional, some things are elaborated, right, because it's fictional. But I took true life stories from those relationships I had with people and turned them into letters into this book where they're telling me to be encouraged about certain things. Well, we revisit, like I have my grandmother's the first chapter. We talk about when I was younger. I was a handful. I know that everyone knows that. But we talk about how she made me go get my own switch from the tree, and because I had misbehaved and she had punished me. But then, like, after that, how she came and, like, hugged me. And it's things that it's funny because I'll be 50 next year. There are things when I was 5 years old that I still remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certain things that occurred. Another instance is like when my mother's mother passed away, I was at my grandparents' house when my grandfather got the word. And my grandfather was a strong, stern man. He was strong, humble, all that. He was a great man. And I just remember him putting his hand on my shoulder because he wasn't a touchy-feely huggy. He wasn't like that. But I just remember his touch on my shoulder telling me that my grandmother had passed away. And everything from that day I remembered. So I put like pictures in my mind from that into the book and made it part of the book. And then close it out with like encouraging, inspirational words. And for each person's chapter, it ends with a recipe. And that recipe is a recipe of remembrance towards them. So, one thing I remember about my grandfather, this is my father's father, is every year around the holidays, we had homemade wine. He made homemade root beer. During the winter months, they would get the hogs, they would slay the hogs. We would have sausage and everything else from the rooty tooty. What did they say? From the rooty tooty tooty. So I remember certain things. So I picked out that one. There were certain recipes I would try to mimic. And I tried to make some homemade wine in my apartment. And I put that recipe here in the book as like part of it,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like certain things. So, but this for me is a feel good book. Um, my goal is for other people that may go through things to try to do something similar because it doesn't only help you writing these things out, to be okay with things, but it also helps other people. Like I had an uncle that read it that was like, So I'm like trying to encourage other people to like, write out stuff. It could help other. You don't have to use your real name. You don't have to use other people's real name, right? But I I believe, Reggie, we're all here to help each other. In
Yeah.
some way or another, we are. Yeah.
Okay. Good. 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 Recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I think writing about what has gone on in your life is a great form of therapy. Because what you're doing, like you said, what you're doing, you're putting real life stories down on paper for people to read, and hopefully by reading them, they will become motivated and they will feel better about themselves because they're hearing it from someone else that's probably going through the same thing that they're going through at this time. So yes, hats off to you and everything. So when you were writing, basically, what were you doing? You said that you had a journal that you started a journal, and that's how you
Mm-hmm.
got to where you went from point
And
A.
believe it or not, my journal was my phone. because I always have my phone. So that notepad in my journal is used for so much stuff. But I have my notepad, and also journals like this. This is one that I just got, but just picking up a journal and just writing. And as I said, the pusher of it all, my husband was the one that told me, he said, just get tablets and just write. We have tablets all throughout this house. But just stuff that, because we're constantly like writing, but that started it. And, the grief process, because we've all lost someone that we've loved, right? And then sometimes there are those unanswered questions that we may have, like, woulda, coulda, why didn't I do this? Why did I do this right or whatever? So it's kind of like closure for yourself, right? And believe it or not, sometimes when we go in and we start writing, it's like I found myself closer to some of those people. When I say some of those people, I mean like my granddads, my grandmothers. I find things that I do in everyday life so close to what they did. Like my grandparents were veterans. I'm like a big advocate for veterans. Like my nonprofit I have, it works with people with disabilities, right? With mobile disabilities. Well, I look through my family and those, like even I wrote about, we have so many family members that were disabled at some point in time, where we had to help out. So I don't know. It just made me feel good.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to look at that video that you sent me, that short clip. We're going to play that right now, and then we'll get back to talking. Somebody sent me a video.
No, I didn't send a video. Let's see.
It must have been your partner that sent the video, but it's a good video, and I think people should. It was you on YouTube.
So my sisters.
Yeah, that's a video. Okay, Mark, let's have it.
Writers, we all get stuck. Writer's block, creativity block, our dreams beginning to fade. But what if there was a way to reconnect with your purpose and help others? I found mine through the whispers of encouragement from beyond, along with that inner intuition. Writing Dear Freddie, Letters from Angels was not only therapeutic. Through these letters, I found the strength to complete this book and help others by embracing positivity, letting go of that negativity and finding the inner light, accepting guidance by being open to messages of encouragement from the universe, following intuition, trusting my gut, and rediscovering my dreams, spreading empowerment. You can do this. I can do this. We all can do this. This is more than a book. It's literary therapy. True self-help. Imagine using your memories as a lesson learned to encourage yourself to face any obstacle. That's what Dear Freddie, Letters from Angels is all about.
See, you forgot all about that.
So let me tell you the thing. You ever do something in a moment without really thinking about what it is that you're doing, but you're like, I'm gonna do this and see how it turns out. That's what that video was. Just like last week, I was like, it was stuff that I wanted to say, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go here. Let me go to the coffee shop. Let me go up in the room. And it turned out really good. I'm gonna say myself, that turned out really good.
Well, yes, it is. I mean, and it's something you can use as a promotional tool too.
Yeah,
and everything could turn out real good. Now, for our audience, got to tell y'all something. Freddie's husband is also an author, and a writer. Been at it for a long time. He writes on the other side of the spectrum, erotic stories and everything. Now, so how much of an influence and a push did your husband give you as you were working on your book?
Everything. That was the reason why I got the courage to write. Is like him. He's like, anyone that knows my husband knows that Yonder is a great influencer and pusher, network. He's a great friend. He's loyal. If you tell him today, May the 7th, 2024, that you're thinking about writing a book, if he sees you, he doesn't have to see you. If he has your number in his phone, May 7th, 2025, he's going to ask you, where can he go buy the book? Or have you put that book out? Or so he's a great encourager. It's really different though, because he writes on the other side of the spectrum, as you said, and I'm on this. So it's like, I really want us to work together. We're talking about promotions and doing things, but it's like kind of hard. Like he has to be on that side of the room and I'm over here, and we just need to figure out how to meet in the middle some way. But I really do. Maybe y'all can help encourage him. I'm really trying to push him to do like a joint book when we talk about this blended family thing and grief. But people have to do that when they're ready, you know.
Right.
They have to really, can't be like, I could be gun ho to do something and he's not, and vice versa. He could be like gun ho to go do something, and I'm like, nah, I'll wait, you know. So yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, I know he has a number of books out. So I know he was able to help you a great deal.
He had one that was just released yesterday. He was part of a anthology that they released on mental health for men yesterday. I thought.
Look, we need that. That's a whole new show right there.
Yes.
Mental health for men. You know, that's a whole new show and everything. So, you talking about the need for you to get out and really promote your book and everything. So when you gonna start a book tour?
So it's not really I want to start one immediately. I have to figure out where and locations, but I've been seeing things here and there. This weekend I'm going to be in Orlando because there's a Faith and Fellowship luncheon in Orlando. It's for the Odessa Chambliss Foundation and charity. So I'll be out there selling books this Saturday. I'm really excited because the guest speaker for that event is Miss Lucille, Shaquille's mom, Shaquille O'Neal's mom. She's the guest speaker, so I'm really excited to even get a glimpse of her, you know. But also I'm thinking with the purpose of the luncheon and the whole concept behind everything, because they focus on the quality of life, right? So it's like a fundraiser for students that want to go and study nursing, where they help pay for like their tuition and things like that. So it supports them. But I look at everything that I'm trying to do, even with the nonprofit, and looking at networking and making connections and even learning, you know, from others that may be there at the luncheon or even the speakers. So yeah, but that's going to be my first stop. And then after that, I'm unsure. I'm going to be in Maryland for about a week and a half. So I don't know if I'm going to do something up there within the next couple of weeks or what, but most definitely we'll be coming to Maryland. But to get that tour together, I'm looking at doing something this summer. So
okay, good. Now, have you reached out to any of the retailers to be a sponsor of a book tour for you?
No, I haven't. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, what you can do, I mean, reach out to like Walmart, and Walmart, you know, there's a Walmart on every corner. And reach out to them and see what they, you know, send them a copy of a book and let them know that you would like to have a sponsorship because you want to do a book tour and everything. You want to get permission to, you know, you might map out a plan on what stores or what areas you'd like to hit and see can they help you with a book tour. And
yes, I didn't know anything like that existed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And having them as a sponsor would go a long way. You know, not saying, you know, and I would just let them know I'm not looking, because you're going to sell the books yourself. You're not looking, you know, you're not looking for monetary rewards from them. But what you are looking for is the ability to set up in their stores and be able to put on your flyers or on YouTube or Facebook that Walmart is a sponsor, and you'll be, you know, doing book signing at X location, Y location, Z location, A location, you know. So that would be something good to do, is getting in contact with them and setting it up, because you might start out where you might just set up, you know, Florida and maybe Southern Georgia, you know, as a starting point, and just work with them and then move up, move along from there.
Hey, Reggie, I had a quick question for you and your lovely guests, and all along those lines. And I do remember Yonder, her husband, when he was on the show, and all along those lines and everything. But one of the places I didn't know whether she was considering, because like I said, I'm in Durham, and sometimes I'm doing the show from the Hayti Heritage Center, is whether she had considered any cultural art centers as well for book tours, because Hayti Heritage Center is, of course, located in Durham. Of course, I'm doing the producing from home as opposed to doing it from the center, which is where I'm doing sometimes on Tuesday. But had you looked at Hayti or even some of the other cultural art centers that exist in North Carolina as a place to do your book tour?
No, I haven't, but you guys are giving me some great information to follow up on tomorrow.
Yeah. Cause look, I heard that your daughter's going to North Carolina Central next year, and that's my alma mater.
Yes, she got her acceptance last week. Yes.
Good. And Mark, if you go to Durham, he could hook you up where you could give a book signing at his cultural center.
Yeah. I'm part of the staff over there, so we could definitely have that conversation. I know they do some book signings even there on the Duke's campus as well, because they have a strong theater department, as Reggie knows, and they have a strong arts department and a very strong music department. So they definitely have some things that are in the creative arts that could probably be plugged into doing some work with you as well. And of course, Stanford B. Warren Library, which was the African American library and still is in the African American community, but is part of the greater Durham library system, is just down the road from us. So those are some places that you could possibly do some activities at and have some very successful events and all along those lines. I was also going to tell both you and Reggie, since you thought that it was a great idea for a TV show, that TV show actually does exist here on the network, because every Saturday afternoon at 4:00, a gentleman from Tennessee, that being Gene Smith, who is a musician, and Coach Gary, I think it's Gary New or Gary New, something like that. They do a show called Unbreakable Souls, which is actually African American males. I joined in the conversation as well, doing some of that male bonding that you were saying. Yonder was part of that event in Florida, so I have to see if I can't get Yonder on that show, because that is, I think they just completed their 14th or their 15th episode, so it's a fairly new show here on Pod TV compared to some of the other ones.
Okay, and we do travel, so we're open to travel too. So just let us know.
Cool, definitely keep that in mind and everything. Just really quickly, I'm about to let you and Reggie continue the conversation, but I know that on the network in general, and just as a kind of various shows, there are a number of authors, including one of the founders of the network, Kim Calhoun, has written a book, and I think some other people that are affiliated with the network have written books as well. But I'm always fascinated to hear what advice authors would give to those that are wanting to write. So you mentioned that your husband was who inspired you, but what advice would you give to folks that are thinking that they have that great book idea, whether it's a fiction idea or whether it's a nonfiction idea, to get them off their duff? Because I know that saying that everybody has a great book in them. I think there was an author that said that, and all along those lines. But what advice would you give to get people to actually write that book that might be in their heads?
Don't care or worry about what other people think or say. Be vulnerable and be true to yourself and get whatever it is you need out. So that's my thing. Be vulnerable to self.
That makes a lot of sense. That's some great advice and everything. We'll turn it back over to you, Reggie, but I just wanted to share that with you, since I knew that she was having her daughter get ready to go down there to NCCU. I think she said the first year will be on. You said the first year is going to be remote, and the second year is when she's got to come in.
She'll be on campus the second year.
Gotcha.
Okay, good. Now, tell the listeners what kind of cost they might incur in writing a book. From the time they write it, get it ready, get it proofread, get it to the publisher, get it printed. What kind of costs are you incurring?
So that's the thing. That's the other part. So you really can do all the upfront yourself, right? Mm-hmm. The writing, you can do your rough drafts and writing yourself. There's so many tools out there to help you. Like I said, my phone was my best friend. So I would speak into my phone and have it dictate on Notepad everything that was saying. A Microsoft Word, the same thing. The cost, that depends. So editors, that's the most important part of this book world, is properly getting your book edited. That cost can range from what I've seen everything from 1,000 up to, I have some quotes to 4,000, right? Just for editing the book. So it's finding yourself a good editor that, again, won't rip you off. I made the mistake with my first book of going to that site Fiverr.
Oh, okay.
I had my book edited by them, and then it was like later, I had it re-edited because I wasn't satisfied with the information that the person gave me. So after paying them, which wasn't a lot because I was going through cheap, I think it was like $200. I had another young lady out of what is that area called? Port Pierce. It's here in Florida.
Okay.
Fort Pierce. I had another young lady. She did the first book. It was much better. I appreciated all the work that she did on that. So it's investing in an editor. Like I said, those costs can range. In the beginning of the call, I spoke to you about marketing. That's another thing. That marketing cost can cost you, depending on where you want to be too. So that's where I am, because it's like I want to put in a lot of money into these books to get, like, I want that top-notch editor. I want the top-notch marketer that's going to get my book out there. But for one, everybody's writing a book. Let's just be real about it. Anybody can write a book, right? So that thing. And everybody now these days, they say they're an editor. Everyone says they're a marketer. So it's like, it seems to be more time and research to find out if these people are really good and if those prices are really good, than sometimes what it's like worth. Like, your book is your legacy, because it's going to be around forever. But there are like challenges with not being robbed blind by people that you think are there to help you, but it's like these high costs that go with everything. So, that's the challenge for me.
Yeah.
I've seen.
And that probably is a challenge, because like you said, one thing, there's a lot of books being written, and when I'm out and about at a function or something, everybody's got a book on something, okay? But how is the quality of the book? Okay.
Right.
Because I have a friend who's she writes, she has a book club, a workshop. And she was telling me one time, and she's costly because of her experience working for Washington Post, People's Magazine, and things of that nature. But she said she had this one young lady, the young lady gave her book to read, and she told the young lady what she needed to do, and the young lady didn't want to do none of it. So she gave her the mocked up manuscript and everything. She said that young lady did not follow none of her advice and went and published the book anyway, in the condition that it was in, her writing condition, with grammatic errors and you name it, it was in there. Because some people don't want you messing with that stuff, but they don't understand you messing with it to make them look better and to do better. And that's one thing we got to realize as individuals. When somebody's helping us, they're not criticizing us to make us feel bad. They're criticizing our work to make us do better. And that's all criticism is. That's the definition, to make you do better. But
and that's where I am. Like this first and second, I say those ones are not. They're good to me, but they could be better.
Right.
Those could be better. Now this third one, I'm working on getting it re-edited. It's top. I'm going to call her top notch. She's top notch with everything, her personality, her spirit, and everything. I'm going to be working with her shortly, because I do want to get this re-edited by a professional, right? Because I think it's a great piece of work.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's an
investment in your, and it's also an investment in yourself. So.
Yeah, so don't hey, make it the best you can. You never know when a book you write might become a #1 bestseller, and some director gets a buzz from another person who's out there in the publishing world, and that book becomes a movie.
Becomes a movie or becomes a play or something like that.
Yeah.
I do have a quick question for you based on something you said earlier, because that really stuck with me all along those lines. Because a lot of people during the pandemic were going through things in their relationship. They were staying in home a lot more than they were used to, and all along those lines. So I was wondering, what advice did the therapist give you? Because it sounds like y'all were blending your family. That Yonder had his children and you had your daughter and everything. So what advice did the therapist give you in order to maintain that sanity? Because I know my younger brother, is going through that now. This will be his third marriage, and it'll be a blended marriage. As a matter of fact, congratulations, Effie. She just graduated from East Carolina and will be a teacher and everything. So she just graduated with her teaching degree. But what advice did you get about being involved in both the blended and also just having to put up with Yonder all day long, and also your daughter all day long as well?
So really, what we've seen, and all this is still work in progress, right? So being married is a constant work in progress, because we're changing like every day. Being a parent, even though our youngest is 20 now, our middle is 22, the oldest is 26, it's still a work in progress being a parent. I even look at, and I want to apologize so many times to my own parents, because I know it's a work in progress, with our relationships. Really, it's about respect. So we've had to learn, and we're still learning, that we need to respect and listen to one another more, right? Yonder will say something and I'll cut him off. I don't realize I'm cutting him off because that's just me. Oh, I know what you're going to say. I really don't know what the man is going to say because I'm not in his mind, but it's something else. He's like, I didn't finish my thought. Can I just finish my thought? So it's like getting to that point where we're really listening, and we got to shut up sometimes on all sides. Like, I know I need to shut up sometimes, right? And who knows who needs to shut up sometimes. But it's like listening, and respecting one another. So that's what we had to do. And even like when I talk about our children, we went on a cruise this past November for Thanksgiving. And as Yonder will tell you, he said it was the worst cruise that I've been on, because we left Baltimore for one in November. It was cold. Instead of leaving from Florida, we went to Bermuda. The water was rough. The boat was sideways. It was just not a good cruise. But he said it was the best cruise he had been on, because he enjoyed spending all those days with the kids, because how everyone melted together, how they listened to one another. It was like they had their own little clique, right? I just shared a video with them the other day where they were singing karaoke. So it's like when you see those results and then see how things work out from them, just having respect for one another and listening to one another, it all, it all came together, or it's coming together. It's, we're all still working, but they're great.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything. To turn it back over to Reggie and everything, I do have to ask both you and Reggie really quickly before I bounce off and everything. I am always tickled when I hear people, whether they are newlyweds like you and Yonder, or whether they are folks that have been together like Reggie and his other half and all along those lines, when they tell me that after you've been together with somebody for a number of years, that you start answering the questions from each other, and it's like y'all have that like-minded attitude and everything. So I was just wondering, for both of you, is that something that you've experienced? Because at 62, I'm still in that single lane, but I've oftentimes heard people that are talking about like that they know the answer and that they're saying the answer almost at the same time because they've gotten to know each other so well and everything along those lines. So I was wondering, is that just a mythology among married folks, or is that a reality?
I would say it's both. I would say both. I mean, you still a work in progress. Heck, I've been married 32 years this year. I'm still a work in progress. It takes a lot of work. It just takes a lot of work. And sometimes, you will know what to say before they even say it, because their habits and stuff. Okay, right. You've been around long enough to learn their habits, so you are able sometimes to think about what they want or what they're thinking before they even speak it. And so you can say, "Oh, I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're thinking," and you go ahead.
Is that what you've experienced, Freddie, as well? Because like I said, I've heard some married couples that literally they'll say that the people are almost saying the same things. Like, if another couple's asking them what movie they're going to go to or what sporting game they're going to go to, they're already knowing that it's going to be, let's say they're in Kansas City.
Well, I know say is whatever I want to do anyway. So But no, seriously, there are things when you're around. I mean, I don't even want to limit it to husband and wife. I mean, I look at our kids, when they're around, like, okay, they can finish. I look at, my relationship with my parents. Like, I think it's that relationship thing. It goes back to respect and love, right? Yeah. But I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest things that I think has helped us in the last year, though, has been church. Like, I laugh because I say I'm not a holy roller, but I've never been in church as much as I've been in the last year. But it's not, how do I put it? It's because of the classes that they make available. Everything from financial, like now they got a blended family thing going on, to a marriage thing. So we found ourselves in church. You go to Sunday service. We found ourselves in church 3 days a week. The Bible, so you go to Sunday service, and if they have a class, but it was like I almost found myself pushing myself away from it, saying I don't want to be sitting up in church every day. But it was like helping me, so it was like I was being pulled to it, and Yonder's just like going with it anyway, because he was more into praise and worship in church and more than I was. So, so it wasn't nothing for him to go 4 or 5 days a week if he had to. But for me, I was like reluctant. But as I released that, and again, thinking about more what other people were thinking, not how the Lord is pushing me or whatever, it was like things just turned out better when I became vulnerable to the Bible. I'm not lying. Like, that may sound crazy, but that's what it was. I became vulnerable to like the learning lessons that are written there for us to follow. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I'm going to bounce off. But Freddie, just really quickly, what advice would you give to folks about blended families? I mentioned my brother's done that. I've definitely dated women with children, and that has become the norm these days, is these blended families. So unlike Reggie, who's been there with his other half forever and a day, a lot of folks are getting into these blended families. So I know you said y'all were thinking about writing a book about that, or you tried to push Yonder to write one. But what advice would you give to folks that are thinking about getting engaged in a blended family?
Be fair, because it's easy for us to be fair and biased to say if we come in with our natural kids, and not as biased and open to the children which you're adopting as your own or that you're bringing in as your own. But to be fair, our situation is different than anyone that I've ever known, because Yonder was a widower. Mm-hmm. So for me, even to this day, and I wrote this in this book, it's extra hard for me because I have they have groups for everything, right? Like I talk about the therapy sessions. There's groups for everything. There's a group for widows. There's a group for widowers. There's a group for children. There's no group for the person that decided to marry the widower and how to care for, blended the children that come into the situation, in that blended family. So that was really hard. We had to mature through it. When we talk about grief, we talk about grief of the person that lost a spouse or the children that lost a mother, but that new spouse coming into the situation or that new sibling coming into the situation, they're going through the grief too, because they're feeling like the ricochet of your emotions that are put out. Like, we're all in it together. So as I said in previously, it's about loving and respecting and listening and also setting boundaries. It's about all of that, right? When we talk about like blending, because that's what it is. We're all mixing everything up and blending everything together. So
some people aren't ready to make that move and everything. Reggie, I don't think I've ever told you, but I'm not speaking out of school because she talks about it herself. But one of the founders of the network, and she's definitely not part of the African American Society, but Kim Calhoun, I think it was during the time of this creation of Pod TV, lost her husband and everything. But that was like her first love and everything. So I think she's even just now getting into the whole dating space and all along those lines, because for that was her first and only love for a long time. So she wasn't even trying to go into that space for a number of years. I think she's at least open to those ideas now. But there was a time period that she wasn't even open to the idea because she was so much in love with her husband.
So imagine, because I can't imagine either. Imagine we're talking about spouse, right? Husband, wife. Imagine being open to have a person in that mother figure. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to think about that. Like I always, and Yonder tell you, I always say think about how that other person feels in those shoes, like how that. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, no doubt about that and everything. Like I said, heading off and let y'all continue those conversations, but always glad to pop in and give some insights as.
So, Freddie, what would get you over to the other side, writing as your husband writes?
Not under the name Freddie T. Lane. It would be something else, I guess, but it would be something else because we talked about that and explored that, and that's a funny topic right there because we had talked about it, but it wouldn't be under this name.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely sure you wouldn't do it under that name.
It wouldn't be under this name, but we had talked about it because some of the stories, like, I don't know if you know the backstory, but Yonder and I were actually good friends before we got into a relationship. So it's like stuff that occurs around in everyday life with people. Because, you know, I'm a people watcher. He's a people watcher. But it's like stuff that happens in everyday life that you wouldn't believe that actually happened, and some of the things that people do. And like, as he always say, you don't need to make this stuff up. Real life will present.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, that's interesting. We had spoke about that a little while ago, but I was like, I want to finish up this side before I jump over there, because when you jump over there and that mind gets into that fictional, because to me, what I'm doing now is more non-fictional. But when I get into that fictional and my mind starts going, because he'll tell you, I didn't know why. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll be like, are you asleep? I got an idea for you. He's like, you crazy. But imagine if I get on that fictional side and that mind goes on. So I got to leave that over there. I got to
right.
Yeah.
But as a writer, your mind is going to be constantly going all the time, you know, because an idea comes and you write it down and you say, well, maybe I'll get back to this idea. This might be a good idea for a new book or something like that, you know. So, yeah, your mind is constantly racing, you know. Once you get yourself really involved in writing, your mind is racing because you're looking for that next book to write, you know. Yeah, so now going back to marketing and everything, how much do you use social media?
So I use Facebook. I'm just getting into the YouTube really. But I use the Facebook ads. So I've used, you know, the ads where you pay now and then. But I don't know. That's why I'm saying I need a professional marketing person to help me with that. So that we can get a plan out or whatever. Because it's like not only books, but I also have like the jewelry line. So it's like pushing that as well. So
yeah, but you know, it's so much out there. I mean, you know, while you need to use TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram. You know, just so much out there that you can use. You know, most definitely use. You know, because social media is what's driving a lot of stuff now. You know, if you look at the food influencers, you know, I was looking at CBS Saturday morning show one Saturday, and we're talking to this black influencer, Instagram influencer, and he's a foodie, and he's going to restaurants and tasted the food, and he's got on his network of people because a lot of people tune in to him, and that next day or the next hour, that restaurant is doing business they never thought they could do, you know.
And that's where I'm trying to be with the nonprofit side, with the restaurants, with the dining, accommodations and destinations for people with disabilities. That's where I'm trying to go with that.
Yeah, so that's a good website then for you to develop and everything. Now, so look, tell me about your other business, your jewelry business. How's that doing?
Jewelry. So jewelry is doing better than it was. When I first started this out in 2020, making it official, I was just dealing with fine jewelry. So that's your gold, your silver, your platinum, your diamonds, your rubies, your emeralds, like the fine stuff. What I found was my clientele didn't have the pockets for the fine stuff, including myself. Because I had stuff that I had out there that I was promoting, trying to sell from even like the wedding engagement sets, the bridal sets, that fine jewelry, you're going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And my clientele, it wasn't that. So I had to look at alternatives after doing some research, looking at my numbers and things. And I found some manufacturers that will, I have some manufacturers where I'm getting like the gold filled jewelry, which is like, it's still that luxury look without the luxury cost,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not anything that's going to turn you green because it's high quality. You know, it doesn't rust, doesn't tarnish, doesn't turn colors, won't fade for 2 years. So that type of stuff. So that's doing better. And that's because it's reasonably the cost is like better. I do more of those at like vendor shows. I have everything set up online, but the vendor shows is where I really give my customers like a discount because it's that person to person interaction. So yeah. So I have a couple of pieces with me this weekend as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you sound like the all-around entrepreneur, writing books and selling them and doing jewelry, selling jewelry.
I'm trying to retire, and when I retire, I want to be doing something that I like. Right. So helping people is my number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I can help you set up a business, if I can help you, if I can help you travel, if I help you find out information or resources to travel, that's what I want to do. Because I really want to help you, because I just see that people don't help one another enough. They're quick to talk about what someone's not doing, but won't show them the right direction to do it. And that's what I want to. I want to help you. Like, I'm not going to talk. I will sit down and we can research this stuff together. You know, that's me. So that's what I'm looking at doing. And I'm hoping, wanting to help people will help me be profitable so that I can retire, because that's all I want to do. Like, I don't want to work for someone else, you know, for these next 10 years. I think I got like 10 years left, but I just want to help people. And if I can make that happen, however I can make it happen, I'm good.
Yeah. And that's part of being an entrepreneur, you know, and part of your goals, you know, to do something that you enjoy doing. You know, I think too many times we go through life working. That's for many people. You know, you go through life working that job 9 to 5 for 50 years because it pays the bills, you know, and you never think beyond that and what you can do. You know, everything that makes you happy should be a labor of love. Okay. And it should be something that you can love, then go back and do that and continue to do that, you know?
Right. And then those people that they may work in jobs that they love, but I try to also get them to think about, if you've been doing this job for if you've been doing it for 5 years under this person, you know how to do that job and make it into your own business, really. Because you have and that's what I try to gear people towards, is like, if you do this, you've mastered this. You know how to do. If you're a butcher in Safeway, butchering meat for 15 years, why can't you open up your own side service as a butcher? I mean,
that's right.
How I look at things. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And I tell you, in this day and time, you probably could open a butcher shop now and make a killing, because that's what people were used to back in the day. And they don't have no more because they go to the grocery stores. But if they could find somebody that could cut that meat just like they want it each time, you know, hey, you got a gold mine sitting there.
Yep. So that's what I try to do. That's that business development part of it, is helping people find ideas, you know, them sitting with me. I haven't had any coaching sessions since I started working on this last book, but I used to have coaching sessions set up where I would coach people through setting up businesses, like finding what it is they like to do, finding their passion, right? Digging down in their passion and researching and looking at all the different opportunities that are out there. So.
Well, you need to go back to that. You know, that's a good thing.
In the day, but I'm gonna tell you, it just doesn't seem like enough time in the day. And I told Yana the other day, I said, I think I need a personal assistant. I don't want a personal assistant. Like, it's not a want. It's at a point where it's a need, because even like this, your show, other shows, like that research needs to be done. Like, okay, where can I go and speak? Like you were saying, the Walmart thing that I wrote down. I knew none of that. So if I had someone to help me out.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and there's a lot of, black bookstores out here that would carry your book, help you sell it, help you set up book signing. What's the one here in DC? Poetry and Pose. I mean, hey, good outlet for your book. Good place to have your book set up at. Hey, talk to them when you come up. Make it over to DC. You can make it over to Hyattsville. Wouldn't have to go all the way to DC to talk to them. Find out, before you go up there, who's the person to talk to. So like you said, a lot of times, a lot of the stuff that you grab and get, you got to put the legwork in for, and like you said, you might one day need a personal assistant so you can get to those things, and you're not trying to do everything from A to Z, because you could very well find yourself going from A to Z and with the matter of quickness. Okay, you could definitely do that. Well, Miss Freddie T. Lane, this has been real tonight. I have enjoyed spending some time with you. And to my listening audience, I want you all to go out and purchase this book. Hold the book up again, please. Dear Freddie. I mean, and that, I'm going to tell you, when you hear that title, that's a good title, Dear Freddie. And she explained the concept of the book tonight. Please go out and support her. Just do it. Just do it. We got to support our Black authors, okay? We got to push them. We got to help them get those sales out there, and that's what we need to do. So what's your final word to the audience before we go, Ms. Lane?
So my final word to the audience is I thank you so much for listening and tuning into this interview tonight. I want to encourage all of you to do your own letters to yourself. I'm telling you, this is literary therapy. Save those dollars. Not saying therapy isn't required, because therapy is a good thing and it is required at times. But some of the stuff, if you can just get it out and write it out, do that, and then write your next piece. That's all.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So, like I said, we spent the evening talking to Miss Freddie T. Lane, all the way from Florida, about her book. She also owns a jewelry business. She also is a coach, and she can help you to find your passion in whatever you want to do. So, Freddie, how can people get in touch with you?
So my website is freddiettlane.com. You can also email me directly at info@freddiettlane.com.
Okay, we got it. So people, please get in touch with her, support her, and push her book to the top of the New York Times best-selling list.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
We're going to help you. We're going to do what we can to help you.
Thank you.
My friends, until next week, be safe and come back next Tuesday night when we'll have another dynamic guest on the Urban Sentinel Live Show, a part of the Urban Sentinel magazine. Until then, take care, be safe. Hey, look, do what you got to do, but always shoot for the stars and go for it. That's all I can say. Just go for it. Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you for coming in, Miss Lane. Take care, and we'll be talking.
All right, bye-bye.